Welcome to the Sideline Speaks with Brittany Jones, Kevin Walker, and Jason Collins. We're happy you're here on a Tuesday night. So much going on in sports right now, guys. So we got a ton of things that we need to talk about. Before we get into that, though, how's everybody doing tonight? Britt, K Walk, how you guys doing?
Doing good, doing well, ready to
Doing,
go.
doing well, doing well. Looking forward to a good one.
All right, yeah, should be fun. And guys, we got Coach David Duck Riley coming up later in the show, probably around 8 o'clock. So definitely stick around that for that. Coach Riley was K Walk and I's high school football coach, but he does so much more, and he's just a great interview, a fun guy to talk to. So you'll definitely want to stick around for that. Also, if you're listening to this and you haven't hit that subscribe button, go ahead and do us a favor, like the video, subscribe, share it. We're just trying to kind of get ourselves out there, and anything you could do to help is greatly appreciated. All right, guys, let's get into it. K Walk, you said you're looking forward to a good one.
Yes, sir.
But we got to start in San Fran with Jimmy G, man. Obviously, he goes down this week. Looks like he's going to be out for the rest of the year.
God.
Tough break for the 49ers. Now they're going on their third QB this year. What are your thoughts, man? Jimmy G goes down. Talk to me, man. How you feeling about this injury?
Yeah, tough break. I don't know if that was pun intended, but yeah, tough break for sure. But yeah, man, it's rough, man. It really is. Just got some good news that he can actually be back. He's going to be out about 7 to 9 weeks. So if the 49ers can make it to the playoffs and make a run, he could be back. But if that's the case, I don't see him being back in the fold. That means Brock Purdy is doing his thing. But yeah, I mean, a lot of people, if you were a 49er fan, you were high on Brock, even though they keep, labeling him as Mr. Irrelevant, last pick in the draft last year. But he prepares himself very well, and it paid off this past Sunday against a team that, a lot of people, have penciled in the Super Bowl and coming out of the AFC. And, a couple of weeks ago, you and I had them, too early to say, but, we had them in the Super Bowl as a matchup. I was nervous going into the game, man. When I see Jimmy go down and I see him carted off, Brock came in there, man, and he just looked like he was ready to go. He looked like he was prepared that this was going to happen, and that's a great thing. And then he's getting high praise for that he just felt like he knew this was going to happen, but he was prepared, did his thing. 215 yards, 2 touchdowns. He did throw that 1 interception, which wasn't really costly, obviously, because they won, but it's a young man that is very prepared, very confident, showed a little swag as well, and the guys rallied around him, and especially that defense as well. But yeah, it's rough, Jay. We're running out of QBs for sure who understand how the system really truly works.
Yeah, and you know what though, K Walking, you've been preaching it for the last couple of weeks, saying, look, the 49ers QB doesn't have to be great. He doesn't have to win the game. Just manage the football game, get the ball in makers' hands, and let them do their thing. And you got to give Purdy a lot of credit, man, because that's kind of exactly what he did.
Yeah.
Just don't lose the game for your team. And I think they can be all right. But Britt, what say you? I mean, Jimmy G goes down. Do you feel like San Fran might need to try to bring somebody in at the quarterback position, or do you think Purdy is the guy that they can use going forward?
Like you guys said, they're defense first. And we seen that last year in the playoffs. They literally won a game because of their defense. Their offense didn't score any points at all. I think it was against the Packers, if I'm not mistaken.
Special teams.
Yes, it was special teams, and I think you had a defensive score, and that's how they basically won a game. So they can win without the quarterback position, as long as he don't mess up. Just don't make any mistakes. Don't mess up the snap. If you could get the ball to Christian McCaffrey, if you could dump it off to the little maybe short routes, then he should be okay. He actually didn't do bad against who they just played, the Dolphins. I seen him throw a couple nice passes over to Deebo Samuel. He was accurate. I think he scrambled out the pocket 1 or 2 times. He threw a nice accurate pass. So I think they like him. I think this is his chance to show them what they got, to show them what he has, his abilities. It's going to be interesting, though. It will be interesting. I think he is the starter from here on out. But I think they need to bring in a backup quarterback just in case something happens.
Of course.
So want to protect him as well. Yeah. It's going to be interesting who they try to bring in.
Josh Johnson,
of course, yeah, Josh Johnson, I believe, is still out there. Unfortunately, Baker Mayfield got the Rams did that. They did that.
Petty. They're petty.
They don't need him. Like, they were not going anywhere this year. They don't need him. They did that on purpose.
Yeah, they're still mad about the McCaffrey thing because they had a chance to get him. So.
I think so.
It's understandable. It's understandable.
But and to be honest with you, I don't trust Baker Mayfield. So if I'm a 49ers fan, I know he most likely could have helped because he has more experience than Mr. Irrelevant because he was the last pick in the draft at the 7th round.
Brock Purdy.
Pick Brock Purdy. But let's go ahead. Let's see what this young man can do, because you just never know. You never know. And what the coincidence is, guys, if you think about it, I don't know if anybody's ever thought about this yet. I mean, the other quarterback has way more experience, but 2017, week 14, the Eagles starting quarterback gets hurt. Carson Wentz. Nick Foles step in and go on a little bit of a run. It's going to be some struggle. We had a good defense then. 49ers have a great defense now, but we'll see what happens. The only difference is Nick Foles had way more experience than Brock Purdy. Now, I hope they don't go but so far. I'm an Eagles fan, but let's be honest.
Yeah, and look, K-Walk, one of the things that worries me, though, like about a quarterback, a third-string guy, last pick in the draft, a guy that nobody's really expecting to play, is sometimes they can come out and play pretty well for a week or two or three. But the longer they're out there, you can start to see some of the reasons why they weren't high round picks or something like that. Does that concern you at all, K-Walk, that, okay, yeah, he played well last week, as good as you could expect for a guy to be thrown into the action? Now defensive coordinator is going to start to look at that film. They're going to start picking it apart. What does he do well? What does he not do well? Trying to force him into some things that he's uncomfortable with. Does that concern you at all, that maybe 2, 3, 4 weeks down the road, maybe some of his weaknesses start to show up?
I mean, I guess you have to say yes in that sense, because eventually the league does catch up to you. I think the Dolphins, what they did, they threw everything at him. And the one thing I'm confident about, I'm confident in Brock, is because he went in early. He went in I think it was the second series of the game. So he had the majority of the game to go against that defense. And they had a majority of the game, meaning the Dolphins, to prepare for him. They threw everything at him, man. They played zone. They locked up man. They sent 5 guys after him. And he was able to adjust to that, to make those throws. Like the one throw where the end came right off the line, no one blocked him, and he kept his composure, stood in the pocket, and fired it right down the middle to George Kittle. Yeah. So I think that they knew that's how you had to handle. Meaning the Dolphins, you had to throw everything, including the kitchen sink, at a young quarterback, especially his first start there, man, or his first game there as a quarterback. So yeah, I think you're going to see a lot of these teams going forward. Next week, you got Todd Bowles and the Buccaneers. So, Todd Bowles is a defensive-minded guy, so they're going to throw everything at him. But I think what teams are going to do is you just have to prepare to, like Jimmy G's there, because these quarterbacks they bring them in here because they have the same tendencies, they have the same accolades. The only thing that I like about Brock more than I like Jimmy, he's a little bit more mobile. Britt mentioned that he got out of the pocket and made that pass to Debo for the first down. So he does have the ability to escape the pocket, which is good, and to buy some time. And the guys work well with him in a scramble drill. So I say all that to answer your question, Jay. I am concerned about it, but I think that he's going to be able to handle it. As the teams adjust, Kyle Shanahan and Brock Purdy will adjust as well.
Yeah, well, he certainly acquitted himself well last week for sure. So
Jay,
it'll be,
I was gonna say, and the key factor to all this in my mind is Kyle Shanahan.
Yeah,
he's a fantastic offensive-minded coach, and he's going to figure it out. All of a sudden, we're gonna start seeing wildcat plays in there with Christian McCaffrey and Debo Samuel.
Hopefully
So I have a feeling, but we're going to see some crazy stuff. I just feel like, especially if he can kind of tell that the young man is struggling a little bit, because it's going to come a time he's going to struggle.
Absolutely.
But that defense and Kyle Shanahan, they're still a dangerous team, even though they lost 2 quarterbacks this year.
Yeah, no doubt. I've been saying it for the last 3 years. I think Shanahan's the best play caller in football. So he'll definitely do everything he can to put Purdy in the right position to succeed. All right, let's go to another injury in Baltimore. Lamar Jackson goes down. They're saying day to day, week to week. It feels like to me where he might be out a couple weeks. But to me, Britt, the backdrop of this whole thing is his lack of contract, right? Lamar decided not to take the deal that was on the table, wanted more money, was going to bet on himself, was playing well, but football, these injuries always creep up. So my question really isn't even about the injury. It's about Lamar's mindset. Like, do you come back, Britt, right now? Or do you say, you know what? I might need to hold out. I might need to chill a minute until we can get my money figured out, because I don't want to have a bum knee and kind of hurt my own value. Does any of that play into this Lamar Jackson situation for you, Britt?
That's a little hard. Like you said, he decided not to take the money off season because he was looking for some crazy, ridiculous amounts of money, way more than what Deshaun Watson got. But here's the thing. Sit out for what? Because now to me, you really have to prove yourself. Now, after you got injured, you're not getting the money that you were anywhere near seeking in an off season. Whatever they were offering you, they're probably going to take this opportunity to say, you know what, maybe we could go a little bit less than what we originally offered on the table that he declined because he's hurt now. But the question is, how is he? This one's hard. Guys, this one is a hard one. Because I think he messed up by not taking. Because he didn't even have a sports agent. I don't think he had anyone representative.
Yeah, mom was.
His mom was a sports agent. So I'm not saying. I think I don't know her personally. I'm pretty sure she's a very smart woman. But some of these sports agents, they understand, first of all, the contracts, what these NFL teams are looking for. They understand the jargon that's needed to really appeal to these teams, try to persuade them to go into your direction versus their direction. So it's a lot to negotiate in contracts. He didn't have that in the offseason. Now, what is your story? During the beginning of the season, you were playing fantastic. The last couple of weeks, it's been up and down big time. It's just now you're injured. He needs to get healthy first, come back, play lights out, and then hope he has an opportunity to get the contract that he's close to what he wants in the offseason.
Yeah, and I'm with you, Britt. When we were talking about this in the summer, K-Walk remembers, we were like, take the contract, right? Yeah. Like, I don't care. If you got 250 and I got 225, we're doing all the same stuff. There's nowhere you can go with 250 million and I can't go with 225. So I get it. Guys want that number. They want to set the market, but I felt like he should have took the money. But now, K-Walk, now that he bet on himself, he's in this situation, he's a little bit nicked up. Does any of that play into this, K-Walk? I mean, they're first in the division.
Right.
I feel like Lamar, as soon as he's ready to play, is going to come back and play. Yeah. But do you think he should think twice about that? Do you think he needs to think about the contract, or do you think he's just got to get out there and play ball?
Nah, I think he should just go out there and play ball, Jay, because I was going to lead off what you mentioned is about them being in top in that division and being right here in the playoff hunt, obviously. So I think that's what he's most focused on right now, getting back sooner, not because of the money, because of allowing them to not only get into the playoffs, but make a somewhat of a decent run, see how far they can go. And I think if he does that, then the money will ultimately be even higher. If he can show that, he can come back from this injury and lead this team, to a playoff win. I think a playoff win would definitely boost his value for sure. Not just making the playoffs, because I think they're going to win that. Well, they're right there in the division. That division is tough. Cincinnati,
Bengals are coming.
Yeah, Cincinnati's start to make some moves. So, so let me be hesitant there before I say that. But they're still in the hunt nonetheless. So if they can win that division and win a playoff game, the money's going to come. So I think that he should just focus on playing, getting these guys in the right position to win. And again, the money's going to come. I don't think he's thinking about the money, to be honest with you guys, because if he did, he probably would have taken that in the beginning of the season. So I think he's still betting on himself. I think he's right now. They said he's going to be out 1 to 3 weeks. I know it changed, but I think the last report that I saw was 1 to 3 weeks. So I think that he'll probably take that 1 week, and he'll be back that second week for sure. But I think he's just not leave them. Don't think the money. Don't think about the money right now. You're going to get it in one way or the other. Either you're going to get franchise tag or you're going to get extended. Either way, you're going to get paid next year. Yeah, for sure.
You know what I just realized, guys? That the difference between last season and off season. So he might get the money that he wants. This season's going to be a bidding war because he's a free agent after this year. If he doesn't get franchise tag, so he is a free agent. So odds are it's going to be a huge bidding war for Lamar Jackson. So he's probably going to get the money that he wants. May not be from Baltimore. It's most likely going to be from a different team.
I think they immediately put that tag on him, though.
Yeah, I would imagine that they're going to franchise him, right? I mean, they're not going to let him walk out the door for nothing. But you guys are right. I think he's got to go back out there and play, right? Because I mean, if he was going to hold out, he should have did it before the season starts. Yeah, so I don't think he can say, well, now that I'm nicked up, I need to think about my future. He's in it now. He's going to have to play. I saw some guys in the national media saying Lamar should not play. He should not go back out there. But I just don't think that's how guys think in the middle of the season. Nobody's thinking like that, guys. But all right, good stuff. Let's do our weekly check-in on our teams, guys. Everybody knows K-Walk is a 49ers fan. Britne loves those Philadelphia Eagles. And I am currently a Dallas Cowboys fan. So every week, I just love to get a little bit of talking about our teams. And this week, I want to talk about the defense. Last week, we talked about which quarterback we trusted the most. And I think we all agreed that it was Jimmy G. Now, unfortunately, Jimmy G goes down. Now I want to talk about these defenses because they're all really good in their own right. The 49ers do it, man, with that outstanding defensive line. They just suffocate you. Dallas gets a lot of pressure on the quarterback. They turn you over. The Eagles can do it on both levels, in the secondary and in the defensive front. All three of these teams have really good defenses. But if you had to choose, and Britt, I'll start with you on this one. Out of those three teams, the 49ers, the Cowboys, and the Eagles, which one has the best defense?
The one with DeMeco Ryans. the 49ers. Look, I love my Eagles defense. I think we're getting healthy, and you could see it. I think the fact that we got Jordan Davis back, although he did get hurt, I think he'll be fine. No, it's nothing serious. We got Ndamukong Suh, Linval Joseph. That helped with Fletcher Cox because he's playing much, much better. It's just something about this 49ers defense. The fact that they could win a game without their quarterback scoring any points, to me, you're just the best defense in the last few seasons. DeMeco Ryans has these boys playing like crazy. Was it Nick Bosa? I can't think of some of the people on your line, but but then you get hurt. A lot of, especially in the secondary, you get hurt, and I can't think of his name, but I think he's the safety.
Hufanga?
Yes.
Hufanga. Mm-hmm.
Where did he even come from? He's picking off people and right, making big hits. Who is this guy? So they had so much depth in that locker room. This defense is crazy from the line up into the secondary. They're just this is a dangerous defense. So to me, in my mind, they're the best. And then I'm gonna go with the Eagles.
Okay. I was about to say, Britt, I don't disagree with anything you said until you let that last little part come out. So, Britt, I agree with 99% of what you just said, but
99.9.
just to be different, I'm going to go a different way here. I'm going to say that I think the Cowboys have the best defense, and here's why. Stay with me. I see you side-eyeing me already. Look,
yeah, because they can't stop the run or nothing. Go ahead.
You're right. They are a little lax in the run, but the name of the game is putting pressure on the quarterback, and I believe the Cowboys do that as well as anybody. We know about Micah Parsons, but they have other guys on that defensive front that apply a lot of pressure and make a lot of plays because of the attention that Micah Parsons gets. So number one, they can pressure the quarterback, but number two, they can turn you over. The Cowboys are very good at turning over the football. So if you can put pressure on the QB and make a lot of turnovers, that's a formula to win a lot of football games. We saw it happen. We saw it happen the other night in the Colts in that fourth quarter. What'd they do? Turn them over 3-4 times in the fourth quarter.
Man,
that's the
Colts
Cowboys
turned themselves over.
Hey, look, you can say that, but to me, I always like to give credit to the guys making the plays. So I just think pressure on the quarterback and turning people over, you can't go wrong with that formula. So look, the 49ers defense is great. I love them. The defensive front, outstanding. But I'm going to give the Cowboys the slight edge. Okay, Walk, I think I know where you're going here, but maybe not. What say you?
Before K-Walk goes, this temporary Cowboys fan on this show just sat up here and said the Cowboys because they turn people over.
Yes.
And they're as well as the best as far as pressuring. You didn't say the best. You said as well as. And they're number 2 in the turnover ratio.
Yeah, that's great.
Who's number 1?
Philly.
Okay.
But Philly doesn't get the kind of pressure on the quarterback that the Cowboys do. So they don't get to generate the kind of sacks that the Cowboys do.
You might be right, but
that's where I think they separate themselves.
They got some deficiencies in that secondary and that run defense and a couple other areas. I love Michael Parsons. Michael Parsons is a difference maker for this defense, but I don't think they're the best out of these guys. Go ahead, K-Walk. I'm sorry.
Y'all should have let me go first so I can sit back and listen to this debate, you know. But yeah, I mean, I'm going to sound biased, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to have to take my 49ers here, man. I said they were my who's balling last week because of the fact of the matter is they went 4 straight games without allowing a second half touchdown. In the last 5 weeks, they've only allowed one. That one touchdown, was a busted coverage from Tua to Tyreek Hill. I think what they did on Sunday is solidify that they're the best in the business right now. I just think what Bosa did, he had three sacks. He had a forced fumble. They returned the fumble for a touchdown. They had 3 interceptions as well. I know the one was late. They brought in their backup quarterback and Fred Warner picked it off. But before that, they were pretty much in business. I know it looked the start looked shaky for them. The first play of the game, it was a 75-yard touchdown, but they regrouped. Like you mentioned, D'Amico Ryans does a great job of adjusting, and we got they got Eric Armstead back, which was huge, which opened up a lot of things for Nick Bosa as well. I love their I love their front seven. Their back end is questionable. They do have Ufunga, they do have Mooney Ward as well, Gibson as well, but that front seven and their linebackers are I think the most athletic linebackers as a group, with Alshire Shire, with Dre Greenlaw, and Fred Warner. They just complement that defensive line so well, man. I mean, they're so well. And I just know when they're going to get to the quarterback. I watch them every week, in depth. I just know when they're going to get to the quarterback. I know what type of scheme they're going to run, but they just seem to look great. They got speed, they got the size, they're physical, and I mean, nothing to take away from those other two teams that you mentioned, 2 defenses, but I just like the 49ers, man. And again, I'm sounding biased, but I just look at what they've done. Look at what they've done. Number 1 in scoring, yards. I know you mentioned Brett's turnovers. The Eagles lead that category, but the fact of the matter is, if you don't score, you can't. If you can't score, you can't win. Bottom line.
Yeah, no, man. I can't argue with any of that. I figured you would go there. It's a great pick, but let me ask you, not to put you on the spot, K-Walk, but who would you put in that number 2 position? You got Dallas or Philly in that number 2 spot?
I'm glad you asked that, Jay. Britt, I love you, Britt. I love you, Britt. I
You
do,
ain't gonna
but
offend me.
I gotta go with the Cowboys because of pretty much what Jay said. That they do have that defensive line that can pressure the quarterback, and obviously led by Michael Parsons. You just never know where he's going to line up, left, right, middle. I just don't have confidence in their linebackers, but their secondary is legit. I just think the weakness of their defense is their linebackers, and they rely a lot on that defensive pressure. So I'm going to go with the Cowboys there.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, whose secondary is legit? The Cowboys?
Well, not legit. They're not legit, but they do have some playmakers that complement the defensive.
That's a huge difference.
No. By far,
it's a huge difference.
If you ask me, this was how I would rate it. I think that as much as I love my 49ers, I'm gonna, even though they have Nick Bosa, I would give the slight edge to the Cowboys defensive line. I'll give the edge to the 49ers and linebackers, and I'll give the edge to the Eagles on the back end. That would be your ultimate defense for this year, in my opinion.
Yeah. It's almost like that Cowboys secondary is feast or famine. Like they're going to pick it off, or they're going to give up a 50-yard play. It's just
and they just lost their starter. Yeah. So that's going to be interesting how that works. They're going to need some help in that other spot. I like Trayvon Diggs. I do like Trayvon Diggs, though. I will say that. But he is a hit or miss.
Yeah, he's feast or famine.
But he'll get better. Hopefully, he's still young. Yeah. He'll get better. Hopefully.
All right. Good stuff there, guys. Let's jump over to the AFC. We talk a lot about the NFC on this show, and rightfully so. All of our teams play in it, and they're three of the best in that conference. But let's talk a little bit of AFC, because the AFC is getting pretty interesting right now. So if you had to say, K-Walk, if you had to nail down three teams in the AFC, who are your top three teams as it stands right now in the AFC?
Yeah, this is definitely different than what I had last week, to be honest with you. But at number three, I'm going to go with the Kansas City Chiefs. They were number one for me last week, but that loss that they had against the Cincinnati Bengals, and we mentioned earlier to say, hey, watch out, ladies and gentlemen, here come the Cincinnati Bengals. Yep. Joe Burrow is playing MVP type ball. I know Jalen Hurts is probably the favorite right now, but Joe Burrow is making a legitimate, run at that. So I got Kansas City at 3. I got the aforementioned Cincinnati Bengals at 2 because they knocked off of the Kansas City Chiefs. I wanted to put the Dolphins here, but Tua just didn't show up on that. I know we talked about how great the 49ers defense is, and he still had 295 yards, but he missed some crucial throws in that game. So if he performs like that against a big time defense, because that's all he's going to see going forward, so I took them out. Number one, I'm going back with the Buffalo Bills.
Okay.
They seem to be hitting their stride right now. They kind of tapered off a little bit, but Josh Allen and those guys have gotten back on track. So 1, I got the Bills. 2, I got the Bengals, and 3, I got the Chiefs.
Yeah, good stuff, K-Walk. We're similar. I still have the Dolphins in my top 3. I have them at number 3, and the reason I gave them the edge over the Bills is because they got the head-to-head win over the Bills.
Okay.
And I know the Dolphins lost to the 49ers, but look, it was on the road, right? That was on the road, right?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
On the road, weird kind of a game. Great 49ers defense, so you feel like they should have won, especially when the 49ers quarterback goes down. Yeah. But I didn't hold it against them too much because they really have been playing lights out over the last few weeks. So I kept the Dolphins at 3. Okay. Like you, I have the Bengals at 2, man. If you don't, I think people, the Bengals lost their first couple of games. Yeah. They've won 8 out of their last 10. You could argue they're the hottest team in the NFL right now. Like you said, Joe Burrow has found his stride. They've got their offensive rhythm. So the Bengals are definitely on the come up. So I've got them at 2. And yes, I got the Chiefs at 1. Even though they lost to Cincinnati, I'm not going to let that one loss sway a season's worth. So I still think the Chiefs are the better team, I guess. Okay. But Burrow has beat Mahomes every time, I think. So I'm kind of talking myself out of it as I'm talking. But I think I'm gonna keep the Chiefs at number 1 for now. But man, I don't feel great about that. But Britt, would say you bring some clarity to this.
I can't put the Dolphins in it right now. to me, that was a huge loss to the 49ers. And I had a feeling that would happen because the 49ers, again, and that's why I have them at the top of the top, as far as our three teams at the top defense. You stopped the Dolphins. I don't know what they score. 17 points with that explosive offense.
Yeah.
As good as my Eagles are and as good as the Cowboys are, their defense, I don't know if we stop them, hold them to 17 points. We may not. I'm just not sure. So that was huge. And then your starting quarterback goes down and you still win the game. So, but number 3, I put the Bengals. I had a feeling this was going to happen this year. In the first 4 games of the season, they played so bad, it made no sense. But I said to myself, I feel like they're figuring things out. Got a bunch of new players on that team. They're going to figure it out. And that's exactly what they did. And Joe Burrow played lights out against the Chiefs. He played very well, though it was a close game. And like Jay alluded to, he has beaten the Kansas City and Patrick Mahomes every time they play him. He's 3-0 against them right now, 3-0. But 2, I still have to put Andy Reid in the Chiefs. I think overall they have the better team, although Jamar Chase is on the other team. They have the better receiver with Jamar Chase. I just think overall the Chiefs has a better team with Patrick Mahomes. And they may not even meet in the playoff. When it comes to playoff time, they may not even meet each other, so it might be irrelevant, or they could. Number 1, I have to put Bills back up there because of the Chiefs fell to the Bengals. To me, that was an opportunity for Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs to show, hey, we big dogs. And I knew the Bengals was going to be a tough team for them to go against. So come on, Bills. Don't let us down now, because the Bills has been like a little quiet lately. Right. I don't know if anybody noticed. They've been a little quiet. But speaking of that, can I ask a question, Jay?
Go for it.
Is it okay? I know I'm throwing a little, this in there, but because the Dolphins lost to the 49ers, does this lower Tua's? Do you guys think this lower Tua's chances in the MVP race? Whoever wants to go first.
Yeah, yes and no. I would say yes, obviously, because that's obviously a spotlight type of game. He doesn't put up a ton of numbers. They only score 17 points. You lose to a third string quarterback. So I think if you look at it like that, yes, I think it hurts. But the only reason I'm kind of on the fence is because the NFL season is just so long. You got 17 weeks. So if he goes and plays lights out for the next 3-4 weeks in a row, nobody's really going to remember this 49ers game, right? So I think for now it does hurt, but I think there's still plenty of time for him to make it right, so to speak. So I'm going to say yes and no. I still think really how everyone plays over the next 4 or 5 weeks is going to determine who wins the MVP.
I agree. I definitely agree with Jay there for, momentarily. Yeah, it looks like, he lost some, he lost some leverage there. He lost a little bit of ground, I should say, because of the performance. I mean, he still put up 295 yards and 2 touchdowns as well. So if you're asking, it all depends on who you're asking, who has the vote. Because if you go and ask these guys who actually watch film against, on these guys, instead of just looking at their numbers, because a lot of these guys who vote just look at their numbers. But if you dissect the game against the 49ers, Tua missed a lot of open chances, man. He really did. So if you look at it in that aspect, I would say, because he was so concerned about that defensive rush, but he still had a chance to make some throws. So I'm going to say based off of that, he lost some ground. But like Jay said, it's still enough time for him to regain some ground for sure as well. So I'm definitely in agreement with Jay.
And hey, Walk, does he look nervous to you at all in the pocket? To me, he does. I know we all saw what happened, weeks ago with the concussion and everything. But to me, when people get around him or he thinks he's going to get hit, you can almost feel, I don't want to say he's afraid, because I just don't think football players, you go out on the field, you're not afraid. But I definitely feel like he's thinking about protecting himself when he gets hit. Did you see that at all, K-Walk?
Yeah, Jay, and a lot of talk was going into that game because they were without their 2 starting tackles. I mean, there's 2 starting tackles as well, so keep that in mind. They didn't have they were playing with backup linemen against a great defensive rush. So yeah, he was definitely conscious of that, Jay. And Nick Bosa was going low on him a lot of the times. He got called for one for roughing the passer for going low. But yeah, Jay, you can definitely see that even when he wasn't getting rushed, he was still, he was rushing the passes, and that's what made him miss some of those throws that he normally makes, that he was making, 5 weeks ago, that he could throw with his eyes closed. But yeah, you could definitely see that he was very aware of where that defensive line, that rush was coming from, for sure.
For sure.
Yeah, I would say, I guess for me, like I agree with you guys. He dropped down a little bit, especially with the performance that Jalen Hurts had, which was ridiculous. Also with the performance that Joe Burrows have. I don't put Joe Burrows above him just yet, though. To me, he's still below him. And then Patrick Mahomes, I know he struggled against the Bengals, like we said earlier. The Bengals just got Patrick Mahomes numbered. They really do. So right now, those are the top two, Pat Mahomes and Jalen. Then I'm gonna keep Tua in there, but if he has another type of one of these games, I think he'll drop low for me.
Yeah, and actually, Britt, that's a beautiful segue into what I wanted to talk about next, because we've talked about the MVP last week. We talked about quarterback MVPs and who we thought could win the MVP, but we were only picking QBs. So this week, let's do the opposite. Let's talk about non-QBs. Obviously, these guys can be long shots a lot of the time, right? Because the MVP, the Heisman Trophy, it seems like it's turning into a quarterback's award. But if we were going to do non-QBs, give me your top 3 favorites, non-QBs, to win the MVP. Britt, you want to go first on this one?
Man, you're making this hard. This was actually very hard for me to do.
It was hard. It was hard.
I was thinking, like, I don't know
choices.
It's not just like, I don't know where to go to, which position to do. What am I supposed to do? But this is what I settled on. Number 3, I had to go with Micah Parsons.
Okay.
I think Micah Parsons is a huge difference maker for that Cowboys defense. Like, he came on that team last year as a rookie, and that team the defense just lit up some way, somehow. Because prior to that, what were everybody saying about the Cowboys defense? They have no defense. Their defense changed because of one player. Everybody else is basically still the same, but mainly one player. They added Micah Parsons, and he's a huge They added a couple other pieces here and there, but nothing compared to Micah Parsons. And I think he also has 13 sacks. So I'm going to throw that in there too, because he's trying to get to above, trying to break LT's record, I believe. Number 2, I'm going to go with Dolphins wide receiver Tyreek Hill. I think he has 1379 to be exact in receiving yards. So he leads the league. He's been a huge difference maker for Tua. Prior to him being on that, we weren't too sure about this Dolphins offense. We were asking a lot of questions. Tyreek Hill comes on. He had a lot of confidence in Tua. Nobody else did when he did.
Right.
And this offense is just something amazing. They're explosive. No one can cover Tyreek Hill. Even during the 49ers game, it was a couple big-time plays that Tua had to make it close. Tyreek Hill was the one he went to, and he answered the call. Number 1, this might be a little different because I went with the other pass rusher. I had to go with Nick Bosa. Okay. I think he leads the league in sacks right now. What they did against this explosive Miami offense, I'm still in awe about. Plus, their offense lost their starting quarterback. Like, to me, I don't know if anybody else thinks this is the most impressive win in my mind of this past weekend. I'm still in awe about it. That tells you how dangerous this defense is, but how explosive and how athletic Nick Bosa is. Because Nick Bosa, to me, was also the difference maker for the 49ers defense. Although there's a lot of talent on that 49ers defense. Don't get me wrong, guys. It's a lot of talent. But Nick Bosa is, to me, that MVP. Because if he's not on that team, it might be a little bit of a different defense.
Okay, good stuff, Britt. I'm not mad at that at all. I've got Micah Parsons too. I've got him he's on my list, but let me start with number 3. I got a bit of a wild card here at number 3. I'm going Christian McCaffrey. And I know that might not seem great right now, but I'm projecting this out over the next few weeks because obviously with Jimmy G going down, I think McCaffrey is going to have to be that guy to really be the difference for the 49ers. I think they're going to have to find different ways, creative ways to continue to give him the ball. Obviously, they've got a lot of weapons, but for a young, inexperienced quarterback, finding comfort in a back that you can make easy throws to and things like that, I think that's going to be huge for the 49ers. So I got McCaffrey at 3. Britt, I got Micah Parsons at 2 for everything you said. Even though there might be guys like Bosa who get after the quarterback more, I just feel like Parsons is just so disruptive. And even when he's not making plays, he's setting things up for others to make plays. So I got Parsons at 2. My number one guy, you guys might think I'm crazy for this. Maybe I didn't look at this carefully enough, but I got Justin Jefferson. I just feel like this guy has been unstoppable. I feel like he's been unguardable. So I got Justin Jefferson as my number one non-quarterback MVP. So I got McCaffrey, Parsons, and Jefferson. Go ahead, Britt.
Jay, I thought about putting Jefferson on my list. You know what held me back was the game he played against the Cowboys and the game he played against the Eagles, where he got nothing. That's the only reason that held me back from putting Jefferson on this list. That was it.
Yeah. Okay, well,
I was close.
What you got?
Yeah, to my boy's defense, though, Britt, I mean, he can't throw the ball to himself. So if he don't have time and Kirk Cousins can't get him the ball, then they can't put that on him. But I get what you're saying, though. But I threw Micah Parsons, in the mix. I also threw Nick Bosa in the mix. I think Nick Bosa I think he's more disruptive than Micah Parsons, to be honest with you. But that's me sounding biased. But I'm going with my top 3 here. Number 3. I went with Saquon Barkley, man. I went with Saquon Barkley because the fact of the matter is, he's 4th in the league in rushing. I think the biggest thing is he's healthy, man. And then we've seen this. If he can stay healthy, man, he is a huge weapon. He's got the Giants where no one thought the Giants would be. Even Giants fans did not predict that them being right now. They're in 6th place in the playoffs. If the playoffs were to end today, they'd be right there in the mix. I think what he's done for that team is he's that engine that makes that offense go. I'm not saying it's a great offense, but he's got them in a position to make the playoffs right now. Number 2, I went with Tyreek Hill as well. I went with Tyreek Hill. I think everything that he's done, man, just what he did with that 49ers defense. And again, like I said, that's, the secondary is there's Achilles heel of the 49ers defense, but he still put up 100+ yards. And I think he had 10 catches, 9 or 10 catches for like 100+, and that big touchdown late in the second half. So I went with him. Number 1, I went with Justin Jefferson. Jefferson.
I'm not crazy then.
No, absolutely not. I went with Justin Jefferson because I think this guy can make some catches, man. He's got him there right now. He's 3rd in the league in receiving, 88 yards, 2nd in yards. He only has 6 touchdowns, but again, when you have people who double him, he's going to be hard to stop. He's going to be, easier to contain, but hard to stop. In that sense. So, with all that being said, I like Justin Jefferson again. Justin Jefferson 1, Tyreek Hill 2, and Saquon Barkley 3.
Gritty. Don't put this out here. I love me some Justin Jefferson. Don't let this. I don't want to hear nobody later on in the comments or whatever talk about. I'm not dissing Justin Jefferson, but those 2 games I had to account.
Yeah, and hey, we could only put 3 on the list, so hey, there's some choices out there. It was hard for me because when I start looking at stuff, it was just a bunch of quarterbacks. You had to get pretty deep down the list before you started finding non-QBs. So it looks like this year it's going to be a quarterback's award, but these are definitely some guys that certainly deserve some recognition. All right, guys. Let's sneak our 1-minute rants in here real quick. Then we'll take a break, and then hopefully our guest, Coach David Duck Riley, will be joining us shortly. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you've never seen this part of the show, this is our 1-minute rant where each of us has 1 minute to just get whatever's on our chest off. It could be something negative. It could be something positive. Just whatever you want to rant about. You get 1 minute to do it. Once your minute's up, we will stop you. But K-Walk, man, I'll start with you tonight because I know you got one ready to go. You're fired up. So the floor is yours, K-Walk. Give us your 1 minute rant.
All right. This rant, ladies and gentlemen, goes out to the University of North Carolina Tar Heels men's basketball team. Brothers, where are you at? Number one team coming in the country. You make that big run last year in the tournament. You come out, you start off 5-0, very shaky 5-0, might I add. Then you lose 4 straight. And you don't just lose 4 straight. You lose 4 straight convincingly by an average of double digits. Guys, you're playing with no heart. I watch you each and every night, man. Each and every night, you're playing with no desire. You're playing with no heart. And it's just not there. Hubert Davis, use your bench, brother. Use your bench. You got talent on that bench. You got more talent on the bench than some people have starters, man. Use your bench. Guys, come together. Rally. It's the time of the year, man. You're playing an ACC conference play right now. Hey, get it done, man, or you're going to be looking at you're not going to be in the 8th seed. You might not even be a 16th seed. So get it together, guys. You're better than this. Caleb Love, take over, brother.
Yeah, man. K-Walk, why isn't he using the bench? What is he playing? Like 6 guys, 7 guys?
It's ridiculous.
I don't understand it.
I don't know, but I'm telling him right now, Roy's over your shoulder. He comes to every single game. I think Roy's calmed down. I think Roy's back in shape. He doesn't have a problem getting back on the sideline, bro. So, keep looking over your shoulder if you don't play these guys, man.
Yeah, especially after such a great job he did last year. It's high expectations this year, man. Hopefully they can turn it around. All right, Britne Jones, what's on your mind today? What's on your heart? You got 1 minute. The floor is yours.
This week was a little tough for me, guys, because I had so many things to talk about. I don't even know what to talk about. These lousy Sixers who done the same thing that what just Kate Walker said, just at the pro level. But, I decided to go with an Eagles reporter, a local Eagles reporter. Now, for those who don't know, this guy's name is Elliot Shore Parks. Okay. For the last so many weeks, this dude talks about, the Eagles don't have a passing game. Their passing game is terrible. It's horrible. It's horrific. How do you have a sports job? Do you not watch these games? What are you looking at?
Exactly.
You don't need to pass the ball if you can run it on everybody. That's what they've been doing. That's how they've been winning their games. So I guess they had to go out and show you this past Sunday. Oh, look, we almost had 400 yards in passing. Now, Elliot Short Parks, go get a life. I need you to really, you know what? I need you to do something that Kyler Murray seems to refuse to do. Do some film studies because you clearly don't know how to do your job. And yeah, I'm coming at my own local Eagles reporter. Y'all said it. Elliot Short Parks. If you can hear me, you can always come on this show and challenge me. I don't mind. We might have to reach out.
All right, good stuff there. But yeah, look, I think Jalen Hurts has answered the throwing questions. Mm-hmm. At this point in the season, if you're still trying to nitpick Jalen Hurts and his ability to throw the football, like, come on, that just feels like you have an agenda at this point.
Jay, but y'all know how the Philadelphia media is, though.
Oh yeah,
like, come on. Ugh.
Oh yeah, for sure. Mine is short this week, guys. It's not going to be long. It's to the people of Jackson, Mississippi. Look, I know you guys are hurting because Coach Prime went to Colorado. But I just feel like there should be a little bit more appreciation for what he did while he was at Jackson and not so much negativity about him leaving. I didn't know if they were expecting Coach Prime to be like another Eddie Robinson and stay there forever. Mm-hmm. But just some of the stuff that I saw online and on TikTok and all over social media, it just felt a little disrespectful to me. So Jackson, Mississippi, I know you're hurting, but take some time and appreciate what Coach Prime has done. An undefeated season, headed to the Celebration Bowl. I mean, 2 championships in the SWAC. He did everything that he came there to do. Appreciate the man and let him move on, Jackson, Mississippi. All right, guys, Let's grab a break. When we come back, we got some other good stuff to get into, and then we'll just be kind of waiting on Coach Riley whenever he arrives. He should be coming on hopefully in the next 5 minutes. So let's grab a break. When we come back, I might slip just a couple minutes of Lakers talk really quick before we jump into our college football talk. So stick around. We got some good stuff coming up. You're listening to The Sideline Speaks with Britne Jones, Kevin Walker, and Jason Collins. We'll be right back.
CampLyman.com is an opportunity for my big boys to come get some work. Let's put it all together. We built from the ground up. You know, our cliche is it all starts up front. Once again, start, stance, hand placement, hand separation, get-offs, counter moves, a little bit of everything. Polish up those skills before your middle school or high school season began. Just come work on your craft. Once again, CampLyman.com.
You're inside Never Had It So Good Sports Radio with Princess Cooper, Tim Moore, David the Duck Riley, Jason Collins, Shoshana Cook, Britne Jones, Travis McGee, Eric Scott, and Kevin Walker. We make it easy to talk sports.
All right, welcome back to The Sideline Speaks with Britne Jones, Kevin Walker, and Jason Collins. As we're waiting on Coach Riley and to get into some of our college football talk, guys, let me just ask you real quick about the Lakers. We kind of talked about them a couple weeks ago. Felt like pretty much everything was wrong in La La Land. But the Lakers have won 8 out of the last 10. Anthony Street Clothes Davis is playing out of his mind. Britt, have the Lakers figured this thing out, or are they just on a little bit of a lucky streak? What say you?
Let's see. I'm trying to look at some of their last opponents here. So part of that win streak, right? Let's see.
Worse than them.
They beat the Pistons. They beat the Spurs. I know the Spurs are actually doing pretty decent in the beginning of the season. They lost to the Suns, which, you know, that is the Suns. They beat the Spurs again, lost to the Pacers, beat the Trailblazers. I'm just running it down. They beat the Bucks, which is huge, and then they beat the Wizards, and now they're playing the Cavs today. I think the difference maker is, like you say, Anthony Davis. He decided, I want the ball. You know, I think, was it the last game he dropped 50, or a couple games ago he dropped 50? So that's showing me something. You know, you're commanding the basketball. You're saying, oh, maybe if I decide this is my team, not LeBron's team, which LeBron has been trying to push Anthony Davis to having that mindset. This is a different type of team when he takes over the ball game. You know, it doesn't put as much pressure for LeBron to carry the team. As talented as he still is, he's older. He's not able to do some of the things he used to do back when he was more in his prime or younger. He can't carry the team like he used to. This is Anthony Davis's time. You are dead smack in your prime. Take over. It looks like Russ is trying to figure it out with these two guys, which is incredible. LeBron is still LeBron, but the biggest change to me is Anthony Davis. And because of that, that bench has also been playing a lot better as well.
Yeah. And K-Walk, we had talked before about, look, maybe they need to blow this roster up. It's just not working. Westbrook needs to get out of there. Looks like he's kind of figuring his role out, coming off the bench. 8 out of 10. I mean, Britt highlighted some of the wins, not super impressive, but what say you about the Lakers 8 out of 10?
Yeah, I'll make it quick. I see coaches on.
Yeah.
But I think it's everything that Britt just mentioned is that, Anthony Davis is I'm going to call him Anthony Basketball Uniform Davis now, since we see him more in his uniform than we do in his street clothes. But yeah, I think it's kind of like what I said, a few weeks back with Tom Brady. I think once you get that one play or that one game out the way, that can actually, snowball, if you will, to success. And I think that's what they ultimately did. Even though, as Britt mentioned, they played some of the same teams. I believe she read the Spurs off 2 or 3 times. But you get that confidence. You know how to beat certain teams. I think the Suns win was huge, and obviously that Bucks win was huge as well. So now they have that confidence. So once you can beat a team like that, you could beat a team like that. You go back, you watch the film, and say, "Hey, how do we beat this team? Let's make sure we continue to do that night in and night out." So I think that's ultimately what it is. So I'm thinking, they're starting to understand with their identity, their roles, if you will, and then they're going to continue to build off of that.
Yeah, absolutely, and we'll certainly keep our eyes on it. Go ahead, Britt.
Real quick, because like K-Rock said, coach is on. Pat Bev, that attitude, he brings that attitude and that toughness that this team needed as well. So that's a difference maker as well.
Yeah, for sure. All right, let's go ahead and bring Coach in. Our guest is here, Coach David Riley. What's going on, Coach? Thanks for joining us.
Coach, what's going on?
Hey, Jason, Britt, and K World. Hey, just getting older, man. I need a shave, probably.
Good to see you, Coach.
Well, we're glad you got the technology figured out.
Oh my goodness, man! Look, I started at 7.
Well, hey, if you showed up after 8:15, we were going to make you run a couple gassers after the show. So.
Hey, look, I would have had Soup write me a note.
All right, man. Let's get into it, Coach, because the big story right now in college football is obviously Deion Sanders. He's leaving Jackson State, headed to Colorado. Coach, I've seen so much talk about this. I had to get off social media for 24 hours because some of the stuff that I was seeing, it just seemed a little ridiculous to me. But I want to hear what you think about this whole thing, man. What were your thoughts on Coach Prime heading to Colorado and leaving Jackson State?
Well, my thing is, I felt, and speaking of what you were just talking about, getting off of social media, I've been debating Tim for the longest, so you know what's going on. Oh, hey, man. Oh, my goodness, man. Everybody's hating on him. I like what he's done at Jackson State. It's always more work that needs to be done and that can be done. But sometimes you got to pass that baton and let somebody else carry it. I can remember just like when you guys left, I left, but I thought we were in good hands because I passed the baton on to Coach Howard. Mm-hmm. So he's not leaving. He's leaving them in a better position than they started. Exactly. A lot of people are upset because he's taking players with him. Okay. If I had opportunity, I grab you guys up too and take you with me. I grab you too, Britt. I'm trying to win.
I'll be a good water girl.
Oh no, Britt. Hey, Britt, we'll teach you how to coach. That's what we do. But the thing is, to get back to your point, Jason, it's very difficult, and I'm sure, he spoke, with his family and talked about it and stuff like that. That's a great opportunity for him. We lost 3 or 4 black coaches. Yeah. We get replaced with one.
Right. Good call, Coach.
Yeah. So my thing is for him, to use every resource that he can to be successful. He didn't say he was going to forget about Jackson State. They're on ESPN, all the HBCs. They're on, ESPN, ESPN Plus. I can't remember the last time besides when Southern and Grambling used to play all the time that we had opportunity to get on there. What I didn't like, they cut back the band. We used to look forward to that because hey, that's what was happening when we were growing up. But like you said, I think it's a great move for him. I think he's going to do some great things. He's already putting together a great coaching staff. He already got the guy Nick Williams from Texas A&M, who recruited all those kids for Jimbo.
Yep.
So, so how can you get angry at somebody trying to be successful and not only giving other kids opportunities?
Yeah. Yeah, no, I'm with you 100%. And I think he got Sean Lewis for his offensive coordinator, I think, who was at Kent State and put up some great numbers. So he's putting a good staff together for sure. But Coach, what kind of success do you think he can have? Obviously, I think we all think he's going to do well, but how quickly do you think he can kind of get that thing rolling? Obviously, Colorado, look, we know they have a rich football history, national championship, Heisman Trophy winners, all that. So you can win at Colorado. I heard someone say, like, if you can win it in Wisconsin, you can win in Colorado. But how quickly, Coach, do you think he can get this thing going, coming off a 1-11 season?
The key is, people want to play for him.
Mm-hmm.
To me, that's half the battle.
Yeah.
And my thing is, he doesn't sugarcoat anything. He came in and told the kids from Colorado just what it was going to be. I'd rather for somebody to shoot me straight than lead me on and have me just sitting around. I wonder what's going to happen. Tell me the truth so I can make a decision. He said, I'm telling you now, then you can go into the portal.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's giving his opportunity for them to make decisions too. How quickly with this transfer portal, I think it'll be like Lincoln Riley. I think he's going to get kids in there that's going to want to play. He's hungry. He's a competitor.
Yeah.
And when your coach is hungry, you kind of take in the mentality of your coach.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. And the personality, he's just magnetic. Like you said, people want to play for him. There's already rumors floating around that over 200 athletes have contacted Colorado wanting to be a part of the program. But K-Walk and Britt, and I'll start with you. I'll ask you the same question. How quick do you think Coach Prime can get that thing turned around in Colorado?
Well, first and foremost, I think Coach Prime is going in with a no-nonsense type of attitude. So he's on a mission right now. And he said it in his first team meeting, Yeah. He announced his son, Shador Sanders, is going to be the starting quarterback. So he's coming over with them. I know the former number one recruit from, was it last year, a couple years ago, Travis Hunter. Last year, Travis Hunter just announced he's going to Colorado. Mm-hmm. Like you guys alluded to, a lot of great athletes are entering this transfer portal, and he's Deion Sanders. They're going to want to learn from Deion Sanders. So I think he's going to get this turned around pretty fast, maybe within the next year or two, maybe this year coming up. I would not be surprised at all. And they just got a top recruit commit, for the class of 2025 already.
Yeah.
Like that's crazy.
Yeah. He said he's bringing his luggage and it's Louis. So K-Walk, he's bringing some dogs with him. K-Walk, how quick? What do you expect in his first year? Is he gonna put a decent squad out on the field?
Yeah, I think he does, Jay. I mean, you mentioned 200 student athletes going into the portal because of him. Reaching out to Colorado. I mean, that gives you immediate success. At least you have the talent right there to start off with. He knows what he's going to get with his son Shador. He knows you're going to get with Hunter as well. And he's going to have to turn some guys away, man. It's going to be as much as he wants everyone to come play for him, but I think maybe he starts off 500, a little above 500, maybe below, but he starts to build from there. But he's starting to put together a great staff, and if he can get the right athletes with the right character as well, not just on the football field, but off the football field in the classroom. And I know he preaches that. As long as he can get those guys, I think he's going to have a pick of the litter, from what I'm hearing. So I think he gets off, to a respectable start, and then he builds from there for sure.
Yeah, man. Go ahead, Britt.
I was gonna say, did Nick Saban cry yet?
Nah, he ain't gonna cry. He gonna break something.
Yeah, look, I was just gonna say that I don't think the formula is that hard. Like usually the guy with the best players wins a lot of games, and he's gonna have some players. So give Deion a little bit of time. I think he's gonna have that thing rolling in Colorado for sure. But Coach, you mentioned the transfer portal. And there are tons. I mean, that thing lit up like a Christmas tree yesterday. Tons of guys in the transfer portal. Obviously, we saw what Lincoln Riley did at USC, how quickly you can turn a program around. But just generally speaking, I like the transfer portal. I like the freedom that it gives players to move, especially when your coach leaves and different things like that. But there's also a lot of criticism about the transfer portal. But as a guy that's been around it, played before there was a portal, kind of like K Walk and I, where we really didn't have the ability to just transfer without being penalized for it. How do you feel about the transfer portal? Is it good for college football? Think it needs to be tweaked? What are your transfer?
Yeah, I think the transfer portal, it has a lot of pros and cons, but some of the pros that you just mentioned, but the cons are that it's killing the high school kids.
Yeah.
I mean, it's awful. And Jay and Britne and K World, you guys know I deal with kids all the time, and to listen to the parents talk about it. What I think the NCAA should do, they should, go half and half. You can only bring X amount of transfer portal kids into your program, and then you can bring X amount of high school players. So if you don't get high school players, how do they get developed?
Right.
To keep your team successful. So they're walking around now that the portal has opened. Nobody's talking to the kids at all.
Yeah.
First they were receiving love, come visit our school. That now all of a sudden they're not hearing anything from these schools that were talking to them earlier. The transfer portal, the other con for me is that you also want to be able to be successful on the field, but you also want to be successful off the field. How many times do you transfer and that you can take your grades with you?
Right.
So I'm transferred from one school. Okay, I might have took 12 to 16 hours. Just depends on what's, some programs tell you, hey, don't take no more than 12.
Yeah.
So you're taking your 12 credits. Suppose you go to another school and they only take 6 of them.
Yeah, they don't transfer, right?
Yeah.
Right. So you're dependent now on hopefully playing pro ball because you don't have anything to fall back on. So to me, that's the disadvantage of the transfer portal. Now, what I did like what Colorado said with Dion, they're working on making sure that whoever transfers in, that their grades would transfer with them. Oh, yeah. Okay. Now, I'm feeling good about the transfer portal.
Yeah.
But that's one school.
Yeah.
Right. Nobody else is saying that. Yeah. So, like I said, I like what you said about the transfer portal as far as the pluses, but we also got to look at the negativity of them too. And they got to do something to help these high school kids.
Nah, Coach, I think that's an excellent point because I think that's probably one of the unintended consequences. Like nobody thought what it would do to high school football.
Right.
And Aaron's son kind of went through it a little bit in basketball, being recruited to play basketball. But because of that transfer portal, he noticed that he wasn't being recruited as hard because they were going after guys that were transferring because they feel like they're a little bit further along, a little more developed. So you are starting to see that. So yeah, that is an excellent point. And then obviously the academic point is huge because if everybody's banking on making it to the league, I mean, we know how that goes. So,
but Jay, and I don't mean to cut you guys off. My thing is too, you got to realize that those coaches, man, they have to win.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, they got to win now. And like one coach told me, I'm not recruiting any high school kids. He said, because I got to get it done now.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So how crazy is that? When the last time you heard a college coach say, I'm not recruiting any high school kids? I'm like, okay, so every year you got to live in the portal or JC.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That's crazy. It's crazy how things have changed because definitely, wasn't like that before. K Walk, man, quickly, your thoughts on the transfer portal. What are your thoughts on it?
Yeah, I thought about that a while ago. What Coach said as far as the high school kids and high school, kids, getting left out of the picture, if you will, because of the transfer portal. So many guys and girls are entering in that. And I was going to ask Coach, like, about the junior college. I went to a junior college. Obviously, we didn't have the transfer portal then, but are we starting to see that more? Are these guys going more towards junior college, or we see them going to like the HBCUs, FCS? Were you starting to see more of these high school kids going towards, to be honest with you, is it going to junior college, or where they can play immediately, obviously, as freshmen and sophomores? Where you see them going to more?
Well, a lot of them are going, believe it or not, a lot of them are going D2, D3, because then they're getting film of themselves playing on the college level.
Mm-hmm.
And then they try to go into the portal, and hopefully the Power 5 or the Group 5 or the FCS will pick them up. So I see more of that. But what you said, like you went to JC, they're into the JC. JC is almost like the portal for them, because now you're getting a kid that is seasoned.
Mm-hmm.
And with your job in jeopardy, do you want the high school coach? I mean, a high school player, or do you want a kid that can help you right away?
Right. Yeah, and I agree. I definitely agree, because we've seen some. I mean, speaking of Lackawanna, where I went to, Jake can attest to this because he has some Penn State guys there. Penn State. Brisker, the one who he went to Penn State, transferred out of Lackawanna. Now he's playing with the Bears now. So you definitely see those guys who can actually play on that level starting to start off. Whether it could be for their academics, or it could just be because they're just not getting that attention they would normally get if the portal wasn't there. But to answer your question, Jay, I do agree with Coach. There are pros and cons, and these kids these kids are young men and women have to start thinking about not going to that next level. You're maybe not going to be in that 1%, 2%, whatever that number is that you get to make it. So they have to start focusing more on their academics, their future, things of that nature, like Coach mentioned, because if you transfer so many times, it's going to be like you're starting all over again. And it's going to be like, you're there for 2-3 years and you get, 50 credits. I'm just using the number 60 credits, what have you. And the more you transfer, you lose half of that. So you're just kind of like, pushing you back behind the 8 ball, but definitely agree with that, Coach.
Yeah, man. It's funny.
K-World, what you're doing is you're practicing on how to go to school.
Right, basically.
Lifetime student.
That's rough, because one day reality is going to hit some of these kids, and that's the disappointing part of it. And it's funny you mentioned Lackawanna. Lackawanna is like a pipeline to Penn State now, where before it wasn't happening. Like Penn State was a school that was like, oh, we don't take JCs, but now like anybody at Lackawanna that's good, they're snatching them up as quickly as they can, man. So
for sure.
So it's crazy. But all right, Coach, let's shift gears a little bit, man. The playoff is set. We got Georgia, Michigan, TCU, and Ohio State. Simple question: Did the committee get it right? Are the right 4 teams in the playoff?
Yes, unfortunately, I'm a Nick Saban fan and stuff, being from West Virginia. I cried with him. I got emotional. He was hurt. he wants it expanded to 12 teams now. He said we'd like to do it for 2023. So, but they got it right. I think it's gonna be very entertaining, because each team, each one of them creates a different problem for each team. Ohio State, with their passing game and stuff. But we all know that doggone Georgia, man. Whew, they're pretty good.
Different.
And Michigan, and I know you guys can agree. I am shocked. I mean, they are more physical than ever before, and you don't really need a quarterback. Them jokers can run the football.
Mm-hmm. Yes,
Blake Corum goes out, who I thought had a chance for the Heisman.
Mm-hmm.
But now, can he get his job back?
Right.
Yeah.
I was running away with that thing.
Yep. Yeah, man. In Georgia, I mean, offense and defensive line, I mean, that's where they just beat you up in the trenches, man. They really do. But Britt, what's your thoughts? Did they get it right? I know some people were thinking Alabama may have had a shot to get in. What do you think? Did they get it right with Georgia, Michigan, TCU, and Ohio State?
you know she gonna say yes.
Nick Saban can cry a river for all I care. They absolutely got it right.
Come on, Britt. Hey, Britt, come on.
They absolutely got it right. I mean, look, Alabama has 2 losses. One in Tennessee, and what was the other one? LSU. Where is LSU? I don't even know what happened with them. But no, I think they got it right. For the most part. You know, I'm an Ohio State fan, and I just
dang, okay.
I don't think we got a chance against Georgia. I really don't. But no, overall, I think this time, you know, they got it right. I feel like they stood their ground. They did what they did in previous years. No 2-loss team was getting in. And then USC, they just fumbled. I don't know what they just fumbled the ball. So I think they got it right.
Yeah.
Okay, Walk, I know you were saying Bama's one of the best 4 teams. Did they get it right, or do you feel like Bama should have been in there?
No, I definitely think they got it right. I just thought they were just going to go with Bama because of, like Coach said, because of Nick Saban. But my saying is, Coach, is cry me a river, build a bridge, and get over it. I mean, Nick, that's all I can say to you know. But I think they got it right twofold. One, I think TCU, you know, remaining at 3 was a good move, and 2, that we avoided what looks like we avoided the Ohio State Michigan rematch, at least in the first round of the playoffs. And like Britt said, you know, and then Coach alluded to as well, is that Georgia just looks like a different animal, and it doesn't look like Ohio State could possibly get past it. So even if Michigan gets past TCU, we're not going to see that Michigan Ohio State rematch, which a lot of people didn't want to see. So I think they got it right twofold for sure.
I'm praying for luck, guys. I'm praying for luck.
Hey, I that's my dog in the fight right now, Britt. I got Ohio. I like Ohio State. I love Ohio State. I do.
That one might be closer than people think. I mean, Ohio State's got some weapons on the outside that might make it. I think Georgia wins the game, but it might not be as bad as some people think it's going to be. But Coach, man, the committee's supposed to put the best 4 teams in. Is Alabama better than TCU?
That's a great question, Jason. Like I said, each one presents a different problem for each one of them. TCU is fast.
Yeah.
I mean, and if you guys watched the opening season when Alabama played Texas, you say how Worthy was blowing past our corners.
Yes.
Yeah.
Hey,
yeah.
TC got that same type of speed. And I don't know if Alabama would be able to contain. Shoot, their receivers are 6'4", 6'5", 6'5". Come on, that's rough.
Yeah.
But then again, Alabama. It's Alabama. I would never count Bryce Young out. Right. That kid is really, he's special.
Yeah.
So, sure. But I didn't answer your question. But I'm a Nick Satan. Not Nick Saban, Satan. I'm Nick Satan fan.
Well, look, in a couple years, we're not going to have to worry about 4 teams. We're going to 12. Coach, what are your thoughts on the 12-team playoff? I like it because maybe my Nittany Lions can get into the mix. But what do you think about a 12-team playoff that's coming?
Well, I was hoping that they go to at least 48 so West Virginia could get in. Look, forget that 12. Extend it. Keep extending until we get in one of these times. But I think it's going to add a lot of flavor to the bowl series. I think it's going to be great for football and teams. You're gonna see, just like NCAA basketball, you're gonna see some teams come in there and upset some people because it's only a 1-game series.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I just need West Virginia to stay bad for the opener next year against Penn State. After that, I hope they win every other game, but I need them to stay bad for that
That's
opener.
gonna be a classic. That's
in
gonna be a
Happy
classic.
Valley. I need them to stay banned for that
The
one.
war of words is on, buddy.
Yes,
It's on.
indeed.
It's on. Just like when you were there. Look, I'm fussing with you on the bus going to the game, man.
Oh man. K-Walk, do you like the 12-team playoff?
Yeah, I do, man. I do. I thought they were going to go to 8 first to start off with and eventually get to 12. But I ultimately like the 12. I don't think you're obviously going to hear there's always going to be arguments or debates about who should be the 12th team, 11th team. You're always going to get that. But I think the 12, you're going to see that you're going to see the best teams are obviously going to be in there, going from, 10 on down or 10 on up, however you want to look at it. But yeah, I definitely think I like it. And there's not going to be any arguments. There's going to be those teams that, fan base, we should be in there where we beat this team. But those are the 12 and 11 teams, which is ultimately going to be irrelevant anyway. Shout out to Brock Purdy, by the way. So yeah, I definitely like it for sure.
Britt, your Buckeyes are in it almost every year, so the 12 doesn't matter to you as much, but do you like it for college football?
I love it for college football. First of all, like Coach alluded to earlier, it gives some relevancy to some of these bowl games because I got tired.
Yeah.
Cheez-It Bowl, Cotton Bowl. I don't care about these bowls. But now we got 12 teams. We got some relevancy here. I think it creates more competition. And, going forward, there may be some crazy upsets that may shock you. So that's what I'm looking forward to. So I'm excited about the 12 teams.
Yeah, that's what I'm looking forward to as well. Like we've got our ideas about what teams we think are better, what conferences we think are better, but now we'll get to actually see it play out on the field. So I'm looking forward to that. All right, Coach, last one before we got to get out of here. But the Heisman Trophy finalists came out. We got Caleb Williams, CJ Stroud, Max Duggan, and Stetson Bennett. What do you think about those four? And who do you think should win the award, or should we just not give out a Heisman this year? I don't know. What are your thoughts on the four finalists?
My thing is, I know the kid Hooker got hurt. How can you leave him out?
Yeah.
It's almost embarrassing that you would even have a Heisman Trophy and you don't have the best player in there.
Yeah.
Right.
So, as far as Caleb Williams probably will win it, but I really still like CJ Strong from Ohio State. Yeah. But the other two, they're in it just because of Bennett. He's a champion and might have a chance to win the championship again. Duggan, he was okay. He did. He's that Tebow.
Yeah.
I agree, Coach.
Okay,
I agree, Coach.
And I hope Princess hears that too. But anyway, that's for another show. But anyway, I would go. Like I said, I think Caleb Williams will win it. He played hurt, did a great job. It kind of reminded me of when Justin Fields got hurt that time playing against Clemson. Still came back and performed. But it should come down between him and Stroud, Ohio State. I think they're the better two, with Hooker not being in there.
Yeah, it's funny because every year you kind of look for like a Heisman moment, and I don't feel like anybody really separated themselves with that Heisman type moment this year. But K-Walk, man, what say you about those final four? Who do you think brings it home?
Yeah, I'm with Coach here. I like CJ Stroud as well. I think he's the best quarterback. Obviously, all 40s are quarterbacks. I think he's the most complete quarterback out of this group right here. But like Coach said, I mean, you had Duggan. I mean, Duggan, if he would have won that game against Kansas State with that performance he had late in the in that game, if they would have won that game, got that ball in the end zone, 8 inches to go, but I think he would have been the favorite. Right now, I do like I think I agree with Coach. I think Caleb will be second, but I do think CJ is going to squeak it out. I do think he'll get it done. Stetson Bennett's got to be there because he won it last year, and he's a champion, and he's the number one team. They're favorite to win it all, so you got to have a representative in there. I just think that's the only reason why he's there, in my opinion. Not saying he's not deserving of it. I just think those other three quarterbacks are a little bit better than he is. But I'm going CJ Stroud here.
Britt, that's your Ohio State guy. Is this a no-brainer for you? Stroud, your Heisman?
Look, I have to give credit to Max Duggan. He played hard in that game. He was exhausted. He took a couple of shots. He was looking like a crash test dummy out there. He took some hard shots. I was like, ooh, he might not survive, but he came back. No, I'm with them. I got to give it to CJ Stroud. That passing game is just dynamic, and he makes it happen. I agree with K-Walk. I think Stetson Bennett is in there because they have the number one team. Caleb Williams, I think he's close to CJ Stroud, but I think ultimately is going to be CJ Stroud. But I really agree with Coach. I don't know how Hendon Hooker is not in this. Yeah. He has been playing dynamic all season long prior to when he got hurt. And he may have potentially won it, maybe. But by choice, CJ Stroud. Go Ohio State. Let's go.
Do y'all have anything else for Coach while we got him? K-Walk, anything you need to ask Coach? Britt, you got anything for Coach?
Nah, thanks, Coach, for joining us. I so appreciate it. I know it was kind of last minute when I called you. I forgot about your show, so thanks so much, Coach. I know it's almost your bedtime right now, so appreciate that. Hey, Coach, unless you took a nap. Did you take a nap today, Coach? Did you squeeze a nap, man?
I got one because I knew I was going to be up till 8:30.
Awesome. Thanks again, Coach. Such a pleasure, bro.
All right, good. All right.
Thanks,
Britt, you got anything, Britt?
Oh, no, I'm good. Thanks, Coach, for coming on. We appreciate it.
No problem.
All right, Coach. Thank you, man. We appreciate it. We'll see you.
Right. Anytime, guys. All right.
All right.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that was Coach David Riley. Always great to catch up with Coach. And good stuff, guys. This was a lot of fun, but it's late, so we need to go ahead and shut this thing down for the night. We certainly appreciate you guys listening to the Sideline Speaks. Again, if you come across this video, do us a favor, hit that like button, share it with a couple of your friends, subscribe. We're trying to build that YouTube channel up. It's a fairly new channel, and we're working hard to try to get it built up. So do us a favor, like, subscribe, share. We definitely appreciate it. For Britne Jones and Kevin Walker, I am Jason Collins, and we'll see you back here next Tuesday at 7 p.m.
CampLyman.com is an opportunity for my big boys to come get some work. Let's put it all together. We built from the ground up. Our cliche is it all starts up front. Once again, start, stance, hand placement, hand separation, get-offs, counter moves, a little bit of everything. Polish up those skills before your middle school or high school season began. Just come work on your craft. Once again, CampLyman.com.